The machine is back at it.
Alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi.
Welcome back. This is Eagle News Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. Ever heard of the sport rugby? Well, Tampa Mayhem coach explains the basics of this contact sport. Angelo Corpus reports.
Hey everyone, it's Angelo. The sport of rugby has been around since the 19th century and made its mark in countries like the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. However, rugby isn't as prominent for us here in the US because of the dominating popularity of baseball, basketball, and football. So today, we're going to have a crash course from pro rugby player David Ulch from Tampa Mayhem. Let's learn rugby.
One of the first steps is out to the target. Now you're going to be using your hip as you come across to throw that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So as you step outside with your outside leg, come across with your hips, yep, boom, and you're there, just like that. Very, very, very simple. So again, stepping forward, out to the side, hip out, pop, just like that. And one of the reasons why we do it like that is because we're also protecting our ribs too, in case somebody goes to try to tackle you, you're not going to have some busted ribs, right? Yeah. So if you want to, go ahead and try it again. Yep, there you go. And then back up, one more time. Yep, just like that. Okay. All right. This next drill we're doing is just a basic line drill, getting the ball out wide to offensive guys as we're doing on the offensive side of the ball. So here we go, boys. Yep. There you go. Good. Nice job, buddy. Ready? Yep.
Wide, Angelo, wide.
There you go. Good. Yeah. Quick. There you go. There you go. All right, the next drill we're doing is a 3-2-1 drill, and this is it does focus a little bit on the offensive side, but it really benefits more of the defensive side. And we do this drill almost pretty much every practice. It's beneficial for the defensive side of the ball. Do you have any questions up to this point?
Why do we roll the ball back?
Why do you roll the ball back? In rugby league, unlike union, when you get tackled and you're coming off the ground, when you put the ball down, you have to place it down and then roll it back with your foot. Now this right here basically signals the next tackle, or in American football, the next play. Okay. You know how in American football they sit here and the center comes over top and hikes it? Yeah. This is basically the same version of that. Yeah. And so as soon as the tackle guy puts the ball down and puts it, boom, that's basically hiking the ball back for the next play for the offensive side to push up. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Yep. Bumpers up. There you go. Good, good, good. Three. Yeah, tackle, release. Got it up, roll it down. Good. Nice. Now when you roll it, you don't have to like really push it. Like you went like this and just like hauled it back. When you do it, just come over top and literally just tap it, just like that. Okay. Because as soon as you tap it, if you tap it, that means just the next play.
I mean, why? Does that person will be close to you?
Yeah, because when you do that, I'm basically the quarterback. I'm the hooker, our hooker. So when you go to set it down, like I'm right here waiting for it. So I'm here, and then I'm going to pass it back out again. Oh, okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. There's always going to be someone there. Okay. There's always going to be someone there. Yep. Take it in. There you go. Nice boys. Yep. Good. All right, tackling in rugby league is a bit different than what it is in football, and especially different from rugby union too. One of the goals in rugby league is to tackle a bit higher, mostly in this zone where you have the ball. So if you're running with the ball two hands, or you tuck it in like you do right here, our goal is to try to get within this zone to hold the ball. Because if we go any lower, there's a possibility where you could offload, what we call offload, where you pass the ball to a buddy that's running with you. So our goal is to try to actually get in here when we go to tackle, right, up in the shoulder area. And we're going to explain basically some do's and don'ts, what's illegal, what's legal, so you guys will know the difference between some of the different tackling techniques. So the first one is just a basically tackle. Justin's going to show us how it basically goes in that. So if you go, just go into tuck it with your bumpers up, and he'll show exactly how it goes, so go ahead. Boom. And where he's at right here, this is legal. He's wrapped. Both arms are wrapped around him, and that's one of the required rules. You have to wrap when you go to tackle. Unlike in football where you can do forearm shivers and shoulder charges, that's illegal in rugby league. So you need to make sure you wrap. His head's to the side, nice and tight, and he's not above the neck or higher. If you tackle from neck or higher, it's illegal, right? A lot of times you can actually get out of the game depending on how brutal it is, right? So we'll set back up again. And if you want to try it on Justin. All right. All right, so same thing. What you want to do, like we just said, it's a little bit shorter for you. So when you come in, you want to kind of get down underneath and up like that. All right. So your goal is actually this area right in here. All right. So try to get that shoulder underneath there and up. So go ahead. There you go. Good. Basically, make sure that arm gets wrapped around too. All the way? Yeah. You want to be all. I know. As far as you can. I know you're not gonna be able to get all the way around, but at least up and around in order to get the ball. You want to contain the ball, because if you don't contain the ball, he can easily just offload it. So go ahead and go into it again. You'll see what he does if you don't wrap the ball up. Yeah. You see? So again, make sure you wrap the ball up, or he's gonna offload. So go ahead. There you go. Good. And then another tackle we have. If the first guy, the 3-2-1 drill that we just did, the first guy always goes in up top to get the ball. The second guy goes around the waist to get a little bit lower. So again, you're dropping level. Now do it this side. Drop the level. You get your head to the side like this, right? And getting to the side, just like it's kind of like if you ever wrestled, it's kind of like that too. You know, like a double leg takedown. Okay. And so yeah, I'll take the top, and then you just go for the hip, right? So, yep. Down. Just like that. Okay. Perfect. That's good.
Whew, that was intense. Well, we hope we shed some light for you on this sport. Now go catch a rugby game near you. Signing out from Tampa Bay, I'm Angelo Corp, and I'm always 1 with 25.
Thank you, Angelo. Coming up, Philippine ambassador to Canada says less than 3% of annual remittances come from OFWs in Canada. And Alberta declares June as Philippine Heritage Month and recognizes the contribution of Filipino Canadians to the province. Eagle News Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition will be back in a moment.
We're Tampa Mayhem, and you're watching Net 25.
Samahan niyo kaming muling pasyalan ang isa sa pinakadinarayong rehiyon dito sa Pilipinas, ang Bicol Region. Sama-sama nating alamin ang mga natatago nitong likas na yaman at puntahan ang mga natatanging isla ng rehiyong ito. Ngayong darating na linggo na yan, alas 6 ng gabi dito sa Net 25.
This This is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglekmot. According to Philippine Ambassador to Canada, only less than 3% of annual remittances come from OFWs in Canada. Here's the story.
The Philippine Ambassador to Canada says although 10% of all OFWs live in this country, they account for less than 3% of the annual remittances to the Philippines. Her Excellency Petronila Garcia told a meet and greet of Philippine community organizations in Edmonton that Canada has been a favored destination for immigrants.
We are now among the top sources of immigrants. In fact, up to 2016, we were the top source of immigrants, and we have retained up to the top 3 sources of immigrants.
Ambassador Garcia says there are about 1 million Filipinos living in Canada, but despite their numbers, remittances have been declining.
We attribute this to the fact that when Filipinos come to Canada, they come as immigrants and they bring their families. So eventually there's nobody to send money home to.
Garcia adds Alberta has the fastest growing Filipino community in Canada. She met with Alberta Deputy Premier Sarah Hoffman and suggested the province should open a trade office in Manila.
The reason for this is that Manila is, of course, now one of the fastest growing economies in Asia, and we really are now have a very welcoming investment environment.
Garcia adds that in her meeting with Hoffman, she addressed one other issue critical to immigrants.
There was a meeting of the Filipino leaders earlier this month, and they talked about the challenges faced by the Philippine immigrants here in Canada, primarily the matter of credentials recognition. And she shared with us that this is not unique to the Philippines, the Philippine diaspora here. The matter of credentials recognition is always a challenge for immigrants, but the government is working towards ways to address this and are willing to work with us, and we express our willingness to begin a conversation about this.
Garcia thanked the Alberta government for declaring every June Philippine Heritage Month. The ambassador was in Edmonton to attend a post-anniversary celebration of the 120th year of Philippine independence. In Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. I'm 1 with 25.
Alberta declares June as Philippine Heritage Month and recognizes the contribution of Filipino Canadians to the province. Thomas Likeness with a story.
The Canadian province of Alberta has declared every June Philippine Heritage Month. The proclamation recognizes the contribution of Philippine Canadians to the social, economic, and cultural mosaic of Alberta. Bert Asuke, the Consul General in Calgary, says this recognition is the result of 2 years of efforts by Philippine community leaders. Asuke told an Edmonton audience it presents a challenge to the Philippine community.
We have to find ways by which we can show to the Albertans and to entire Canada that the Filipino Canadians is part of the life and the development and the progress of this country. So that's also a message that we can send back to our motherland, the Philippines, to show that we contribute here as to the adopted country as well as to the country where we all came from, where all Filipino Canadians came from. So this is a rallying call for all Filipinos.
Asuke says he wants next year's celebration to be bigger and better.
So Filipino Canadians in Alberta, we all face a challenge of how to make next year's Philippine Heritage Month a meaningful and first historic celebration. So we rely on the media, like Eagle Broadcasting, to see how we can galvanize all the Filipinos to make a 1 month activity that will really showcase the contribution of the Filipino Canadians to the life of Albertans and to the economy itself.
Asuke was in Edmonton to attend a post-anniversary celebration of the 120th year of Philippine independence. In Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News. I'm 1 with 25.
Thank you, Thomas. That is Eagle News Washington, D.C. Weekend Edition. Join us again next week for stories from our bureaus around the world and across the globe. I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglekmot, always 1 with 25.
A typhoon has just struck the coast of Malaysia, and hundreds of people are missing. Survivors are being picked up by helicopter and taken to hospital. Sniffer dogs are on standby to help search any houses. But thankfully, none of this is real. It is actually a training exercise carried out by the ASEAN Regional Forum.
It's an exercise bringing together the civilian and the military force and having a joint exercise in preparing ourselves in case there is a disaster. How will countries come together to respond as one?
The training scenarios also include a chemical leak to make sure all the equipment is in working order should it be required in the real world.
Having a good system or having a good institutional mechanism is one, but unless you practice it, you will never know whether it will really work at a time of disaster or not.
The political security community is about more than responding to problems. It is about preventing them as well. Since it was formed to today, ASEAN has ensured the entire region has remained at peace, providing a solid foundation for economic development as well as socio-cultural opportunities. The Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Southeast Asia came into existence in 1976 and remains the key code of conduct governing interstate relations in the region. It lays out numerous fundamental principles, including mutual respect for the independence and sovereignty of all nations, non-interference in the internal affairs of one another, and the settlement of differences by peaceful means. In 1995, government leaders signed a treaty to make ASEAN a nuclear weapon-free zone to further promote peace in the region. By providing a platform for countries and parties involved in any disputes and tensions, ASEAN is able to keep all conflicting parties present in negotiations and continue exploring options towards peaceful solutions. And it isn't just talking within the 10 countries that has kept the region safe. Over the past few years, ASEAN has deepened and strengthened its relations across Asia and the world. ASEAN's continued cooperation with its international partners promotes peace, stability, prosperity, and the development of the region. Not only are there regular ASEAN meetings between the foreign ministers, but there are also East Asia summits, which allow ASEAN to have a real impact on issues in the wider region. ASEAN is actively engaging its dialogue partners to further enhance dialogue and cooperation with them. The ASEAN Plus One meetings with the world's superpowers mean that despite their size, ASEAN countries can have a real impact on global politics. And by adopting coordinated, cohesive, and coherent positions on issues, and by responding collectively to emerging challenges, ASEAN is seen as being a reliable player in the global community.
By talking, by discussing, by being transparent, this is actually promoting trust building. This is building confidence. So it's definitely one of the most successful framework, I would say, in this age and time to promote peace and stability in the region. So, and of course, this trickles down to the safety and security of the people as well.
And looking after its people is ASEAN's main concern. The political security community promotes political development in adherence to the principles of democracy, the rule of law and good governance, and respect for the promotion and protection of human rights and fundamental freedoms as inscribed in the ASEAN Charter.
What are countries but about people? So we have a people-centered ASEAN. And what is it about people that is important? People have rights. People want to live decent lives. They want to have protection from fear. They do not want to live in fear.
When you're dealing with lives, I think the best teacher of all is experience. And the experiences of a collective of nations, is really better than just one nation looking inward.
ASEAN uses the political security community to create a rules-based union of shared values and norms, which is cohesive, peaceful, and resilient. By bringing the 10 nations together, it gives a shared responsibility for security, which allows Southeast Asia to be a dynamic and outward-looking region in an increasingly integrated and interdependent world.
everyone! I'm here in Cairo, Egypt at the famous Pyramids of Giza. Stay tuned to watch Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Reporting from EBC Egypt Bureau, I'm Zara Angeles Valdez, and I am one with Chris Life.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave some love by giving it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe here at ABC Digital Nest so you don't miss any of our upcoming features.
This program is rated PG. It contains themes and scenes which may not be suitable for very young audiences. Parental guidance is advised.
Vamos a dar la vuelta, menea la cintura, mami, no te quedes quieta. Rock, rock, rock when you...
The 2018 World Cup has kicked off.
It's the moment of the year.
We preview the final group.
Let's take a look at Group H.
Perhaps the toughest group to predict. Featuring the experience and team effort of Japan, smooth moves from the Colombians.
You also dance Fugo in Colombia.
Polish beef, in the case of Robert Lewandowski, the product of his wife's hard work and expertise. And finally, let's not forget the widely underrated team from Senegal. Can't wait? Nor can we.
We've almost come to the end of our World Cup roundup. 7 groups are already done and dusted, and it's almost time for me to make some big predictions. But first, there's one more group we need to break down, and it's possibly the most open group at Russia 2018. Let's take a look at Group H.
Colombia want to build on their 2014 performance, while Poland are back after 2 tournaments away. Senegal are taking part for just the 2nd time. Japan round off the final World Cup group.
You might look at this group, shrug your shoulders and think none of these teams have a hope in hell of winning the World Cup. Is it even worth watching? Well, you'd be partly right. This is the only group at Russia 2018 where none of the countries have ever won the World Cup. But it's still a group with plenty of stories, starting with a couple of Bayern teammates going head to head. Is there a better centre forward in world football than this man? Robert Lewandowski has been the dominant force in the Bundesliga for years, and since joining Bayern during the last World Cup, he's taken his talent up a notch.
He's already racked up 150 goals in a Bayern shirt, and he's Poland's all-time top scorer.
This will be his first time playing at a World Cup though, so you better believe he'll want to make his mark on the biggest stage.
Lewandowski's won 7 league titles and 3 cups, but this could be his only chance at the tournament that sorts the men from the boys.
He'll face tough competition in the group stage though, especially from Colombia and a certain Bayern teammate. James Rodriguez is the man with the magic feet for Colombia.
He was one of the stars of the last World Cup, winning the Golden Boot despite Colombia's quarter-final exit. And he's hit form at the right time, catching fire towards the back end of the season for Bayern.
James bore the weight of expectation for Colombia at Brazil 2014, and he thrived on it. But this time out, he'll have a big helping hand.
Falcao was injured at the last World Cup, but now El Tigre is back to his best. He's one of the game's great centre-forwards and his country's record goal scorer.
So already we've got some genuine stars in Group H, but what about the other 2 teams? Well, Senegal have their own superstar, who's played a major role in Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool revolution.
Sadio Mane has been in stunning form since moving to Merseyside, linking up with Roberto Firmino and Mohamed Salah in a fearsome front 3.
It might just be Senegal's second World Cup ever, but they can take plenty of inspiration from their first tournament.
Back in 2002, they beat then world champions France to advance from the group and made it as far as the quarter-finals.
A repeat performance would put them in dreamland. So that leaves us with Japan. Okay, they don't have a standout talent like the other teams, but their teamwork makes them a formidable opponent. Oh, and we all love this guy, right?
Shinji Kagawa is one of Japan's best players. The Dortmund midfielder will be one of their main threats, along with former Premier League champion Shinji Okazaki, who has scored 50 goals for Japan.
They'll have another Bundesliga player leading them onto the pitch, the man they call the boss.
Frankfurt's Makoto Hasebe is as dependable as they come. He'll demand total commitment from his teammates.
With no obvious favourites, this has to be the hardest group to call at the World Cup. But hey, that's why I get paid the not-so-big bucks. Anyway, here it is, my final group prediction.
I have to go for James and Colombia to win Group H. After that, it's tough, but I have a feeling Senegal will inch into second place ahead of Lewandowski's Poland. Sorry, Japan. I think you guys are heading home early.
With Group H in the bag, it's time to finish the series with a few predictions for the tournament. And for that,